Join me, Siphumelele Ndlovu, as we look forward to the year 2024. Welcome to Oh What a Year It Will Be. Yes, Sanbona, and welcome to the final episode of Oh What a Year It Will Be. My name is Siphumelele Ndlovu and I am your host. That is crazy. Why did I sing that? It is absolutely insane to me that we are finally at the final episode of the series. It has been quite the ride. I mean, from conceptualization to creation to stagnation and right back to creation again. It's so exciting to be recording this episode. I have gone through the most through this series, and I've learned a lot about myself and ways that I need to honor myself in the creation of whatever works that I'll be creating going forward. And that is really in line with what we are talking about in the final episode of Oh What a Year It Will Be. Our topic for this episode is how will you honor yourself this year and beyond? And before we get into it though, I would like to start with our regular disclaimer. I am not a qualified therapist or psychologist, and this program is merely for discussion purposes. Any advice or opinion given is not a substitute for professional help. If you are dealing with a professional, family, or mental health matter, please do reach out to a trained professional. Free and affordable resources are available in the description below. Alright, let's get to it. So the first one says, I'm going for everything I want career-wise, appreciating myself, like spoiling myself, and just generally not exposing myself to situations that might make me feel some type of way about myself. I love that. Yabo, I love that last part especially. I mean, I love the whole thing, but I love that last part especially. Not exposing myself to certain things that make me feel some type of way. One thing that I think we do to dishonor ourselves is constantly putting ourselves in situations that are not honoring our greater self, whether that is going back to that ex, whether that is sticking around friends that you know don't like you, whether it's associating yourself with people that don't make you feel good about yourself, or other people that make you feel very bad about yourself. I really think that an important part of honoring yourself is choosing the spaces that you expose yourself to. Obviously, there are certain spaces that we don't have the control over. For instance, if you work in a very toxic environment, you can't really be like, you know what, I'm honoring myself and I'm not going to work today. No. Obviously, you can try to find another job and all of that sort of stuff, but in spaces where you have the control, it is important to remove yourself from spaces that don't give you the satisfaction or the joy, or rather bring you sadness or anger or whatever. So that's amazing. I also like the part where you say you're going to be appreciating yourself and spoiling yourself a bit more. I think that in trying to show up for our people and in trying to really do the important things like saving or budgeting or paying for certain things, we really do forget to spoil ourselves. I remember in conversations, my grandmother was telling me about how she was raising her children in poverty, and one of the questions I asked her was like, did you ever steal a moment for yourself to like treat yourself, whether it was to like ice cream or a movie or whatever? And she was like, no, buying a cabbage for my kids and feeding them was the treat. Like treating them, making sure that they're okay was the treat. And I think that in as much as our situations might not be similar or as dire as hers, we really owe it to ourselves to steal those moments of joy. Like, yeah, sometimes life doesn't give you moments of joy, but it's important to steal those moments for yourself. It's important to be really intentional about creating moments of joy, about planning moments of joy, about scheduling joy. So I really do like the fact that you want to spoil yourself every now and again. And I think the career one is also very important. It's very important to honor yourself and your dreams and to honor your capabilities. There's nothing as amazing as thinking of something or dreaming of something and actually doing it. There is nothing as amazing as dreaming or thinking of something and actually bringing it to life. that is so amazing to know that about yourself, to know how capable you are. I really do wish that you not only think of this, but you actually do this. Thank you so much for sharing. This was amazing. All right, the second one says, I plan to honor myself by being gentle with myself through every season. This is so important. It is so important to be gentle with ourselves and to give ourselves grace. I mentioned in the previous episode how a friend called me out about something and I got defensive. And that's really because I was so upset with myself. I was so disappointed in myself for having uttered what I did utter. And in dealing with that, I gave myself grace. I gave myself grace to be like, okay, that was a mistake. You're allowed to make mistakes. You are human. Learn from that and don't do that again. And I know that's just a small example of what really being gentle with yourself can mean, but honestly, it's such an important thing to give yourself grace, because the world doesn't give us grace. The world is not created in a way that allows us grace. So it's important for yourself to be that space where you can find that gentleness and that grace. That is so important. Thank you so much for sharing. The next one says, I want to show up for myself by spoiling myself every month with a clothing item. Girl, please include me in that spoilation and spoil me too. But you know what? That's so important. I think that self-image and the way that you show up to certain people and the way that you show up to certain places is important, and it does affect how it is that you feel about yourself in that space. I was talking to a friend, I'm gonna call her a friend, and we were talking about my outfit to church that day, right? So I was saying to her, yo, Dombi, I'm looking at this outfit and I've honestly not bought clothes for church in such a long time that this outfit is from 2018. I need new clothes for church. And instead of being like, hi Chomi, you can't do you go to church? Do you go to church as a fashion statement, or are you going for God? She was like, yes, because the way that you appear really does affect your confidence and how it is that you show up in certain spaces. So I totally agree with you. Spoiling yourself with a clothing item, it's not only going to honor yourself in the sense that you are spoiling yourself, but also in the way that you show up. You're honoring yourself by showing up as your best self. So I vote for that, but also please include me in the shopping list. Thanks. The next one says, I don't know. I'm kind of tired of making promises to anyone, especially myself. I get that, right? I get that it's tiring to make resolutions and to make promises and feel like you're at a space and feel like you don't achieve them every time you do that. So allow yourself grace. That is a normal human emotion, and it's very normal. It's upsetting, but in Doyabantu too, it happens that you make promises or you make plans and you're unable to reach them. But honoring yourself isn't always something that is financial, or it isn't always something that is big in the emotional or the physical sense. Honoring yourself can be just taking a walk every now and again to really clear your mind and to get into a better mind space. Honoring yourself can be reading a book every now and again. Honoring yourself can be listening to music. Small everyday things can lead to you honoring yourself and honoring the best version of yourself. I really do hope that after listening to this, you do take stock of your life and you look around you to see the many, many small ways that you can put into action to honor yourself better. Thank you so much for sharing. The next one says, I will trust in God more. He knows us best. He's our creator. Further, I pledge to give myself more space and room for grace. I love the trusting God thing. I was actually talking about it on my Instagram stories the other day, about how the sermon at church was about answering your calling without any question, right? How the disciples, when Jesus came to fetch his disciples, he literally said, yo, Oaks, join me, let's go. And these people left their fishing nets, which were their income, which were their livelihood. They left everything and they followed this Jesus, no questions asked. And I can say that is akin to trusting God and to following God's plan for your life. However, it's so difficult for us to humanly do that, because you think about how am I going to pay for this? When is this going to happen? How am I going to make this happen? What in the actual hell is this God's plan for me? And so I like the fact that you are planning on trusting God more, because honestly, in order for you to really see through the vision that God has for your life, you need to trust Him, even in times where things are shaking and you don't understand what everything actually means. I really do hope that you trusting God renews your faith and your confidence in life as well. I hope that it helps you move through life so confidently, knowing that God is going to do what God said He would do. I also like the grace thing. I mean, as I mentioned in the response before, it's very important for you to create that soft and gentle and graceful space for yourself, because the world is not going to give you that. So thank you so much for sharing, and all the best. And the next one says, I will honor myself by embracing my power. That is strong. That is powerful. I want more context, but at the same time, you've said enough. I think that it's very scary to get to a point where you embrace your power, because when you really see yourself and you see the God in you and you see the things that you are capable of, it's scary. It's so scary to know your capabilities, and even scarier to when you know your capabilities, use your capabilities, or go for your capabilities, or bring your capabilities to life. So it's important that you're saying that you're going to learn, or you're going to embrace your power, because it's in embracing your power that you really bring your dreams to life. Because it's in embracing your power that you really bring your dreams to life. I'm so excited to see what embracing your power will bring for you. Thank you so much for sharing. All right, this is the last one before I share my own. It says, I'll have to figure that out as the year goes, but I'm definitely looking out for me this year. Solo dates, alone time, therapy, going back to church, going back to gym, eating healthy, and reading. Hey, I want to do it all for me this year. Exactly, bestie. Gorgeous girls go back to church. Gorgeous girls are in therapy. They're going on solo dates. They're gymming. They're eating healthy. They are reading. Period, bestie. I really like that. I think those are really like somewhat small ways that one can show up for themselves, and you don't really have to do it all at once. Hey, like, you can start with the solo dates and then read and then have alone time, therapy, 2 Sundays a month, go to church, and don't and you like introducing these things slowly into your life and really watching how they change your life and how your life blossoms after that. I'm so excited for you. I'm so excited for you, and I really do hope that you see this through. Thank you so much for sharing. All right, and for the last time, it's my turn. So one of the ways that I want to honor myself this year is to stop having a fear mentality. I want to stop showing up from a place of fear and from a place of lack, but instead I want to show up from a place of faith and a place of abundance. One thing about me is that I've always had my palm shut, and not because I didn't want to give to people and not because I didn't want to receive, but I always felt like if I give, what am I going to be left with? I want to come from that lack mentality and fear mentality and have a faith and abundance mentality that says, I will open up my palm and anything that leaves is simply making space for the abundance that God has planned for me. I want to have an open palm so I'm able to share with those around me that need whatever it is that is in my palm. I want to have so much faith that God will constantly restore my cup. God will constantly refill my cup. God will constantly provide whatever it is that I need. My needs will always be met. That is something that I think I have seen in my life, how all my needs are met. Sometimes there isn't abundance. Sometimes there isn't excess, but my needs are always met. I want to always have that faith and to carry that faith with me in everything that I do. Move knowing for a fact that my God will provide. I also want to come from a place of abundance, one that says, I will never lack. I will never, ever, ever lack. There is an abundance of everything that I want and that I need, and it is within my reach. I have the capacity and I have the capability to go for it and to grab it. So I don't need to hold on to things that I have because there's always so much more. I want to honor myself by strengthening my boundaries and being louder with my voice. Late last year, and I think beginning of this year, I found myself realizing that there's a certain space that really does not do well for me. And so, like the first response, I've really decided to come up with creative ways to not immerse myself in a space that doesn't bring me joy. And that has been a very difficult decision for me, especially because this space is a space that I'm relatively new in. And when you're in a new space, you want to prove yourself, you want to show up, you want to do this and that and the other. And it's been really difficult getting to a point where I'm just like, you know what? I owe it to myself to be in a space where I feel good. And so, in as much as it is in my control, I will ensure that I'm in that space that is good for me. I will ensure that I'm in that space that brings me joy. So that is one of the ways that I want to honor myself. I want to honor myself by using the voice that I found in 2023. In 2023, I said I found my voice, and in 2024, I want to amplify that voice. In 2024, I want to speak up and to stand up for myself even more. And not just to stand up for myself against people who are coming for me, but stand up for myself towards the things that I want for myself. I did my vision board on New Year's Eve, and every morning when I look at that thing, I get so scared because of how big the things that I say I want are. But recently, I've learned that it really is up to me. It's up to me how much of myself I put out there. It's up to me how much I speak out and I speak about myself and I network and I connect with people that will allow me to get to where it is I want to go. That will allow me to bring all of these scary dreams to life. So yeah, that is another way that I am honoring myself. I want to honor myself by being honest with myself at all times. And that is something that I do quite often. And because of that, I can tell when I'm not doing it. I am a serial journaler. I don't know if that's a word. If it isn't, I just made it up. I'm a serial journaler. And when I don't journal for more than a week, that's when I know I'm running from myself and there is something I don't want to face. I want to cut that down. I want to be honest with myself at all times. It's something I called my Delulu era. I give myself 2 weeks to be delusional about whatever situation. And honestly, every time I look back on those situations, I regret not acting sooner. Because like I mentioned in the regret episode, you always know. You always know. So I want to honor myself a bit more by being honest with myself from the jump. By not allowing myself to delusionally find myself in situations that aren't good for me. That is really one of the biggest ways that I hope to honor myself this year. And with that, we have reached the end of our series. Thank you again so much to everybody who has listened, everybody who has shared, everybody who has commented and been part of this journey. It has been a very daunting journey, one filled with realizations, one filled with learnings, and a lot of thinking to do. I hope that we all show up for ourselves, and I hope that we all remember these things that we said we're going to do for ourselves and for our loved ones that will enable us to show up better and to be better. Let me know if you guys would like a season 2 next year. And until then, thank you so much for listening, for engaging, and for just being there. And until the next series, whatever that will be, God is good. And life is still so beautiful.